So hello, and today we're gonna go over a concept which I like to call high pressing and how you should position defensively when you're playing a ball comp or pretty much any dive comp, but especially a ball comp against a brawl comp. So the reason why I called it high pressing is we can kind of imagine the point as a goal. So if they shoot the ball in it, they score. But and Brawl, this analogy makes sense because their job is to force the point and force you to fight them in a ideally uncomfortable situation for you. So let's say Atlanta magically have a TP from spawn to point. Well, they have full resources. They are a couple seconds away from capturing point. You might be forced into a very rushed fight, which you don't want. You want to, as I said in the first video, you want to set up your positions, you want to play patient, you want to kind of prod them a bit, try to get into annoying positions, and eventually just find an opening and exploit it. You don't want to just have to fight in 3 or 4 seconds. But there is a way to play that style, to play the style you want. There is a way to be able to position, harass them, look for an opening without having having to worry about the point. And the answer is just play forward of the point. It sounds obvious, but it's actually a very important concept that many balls teams are too scared to do. And you might be worried, hey, what if they'll capture the point while I'm up here? Well, first they're playing Brawl. They don't have any real mobility. Second, you're also playing a ball comp. If anyone decides to separate from the core and look to force a point, well, you just discord them, you just collapse on them. That's what the ball team is very good at controlling space and enforcing it as well. And finally, let's go back to the analogy that I mentioned. So if this is the goal, would you rather the ball be kept would you rather the ball be very far away from your goal? Imagine the enemy team is the ball, but would you rather keep the ball so far away from the goal that they can't score at all? They're so far, any shot that they want to make is just going to be a Hail Mary. They don't have time to line up their shot. They don't have time to actually aim their shot even. Like it's just going to be horrible because they're kept so far away from the thing they want that it's hopeless. They can't win. Well, how they want to win fights? They want to force the point and force you into an uncomfortable fight. But if you're just keeping the point away from them, well, suddenly the enemy team can't do anything. So we're gonna take a look at this very important concept during again the finals in between Rain and Dragons, and we're gonna see how Dragons really fight high up the map, how they put pressure on the enemy high up the map instead of on the point to really snowball their advantage that they got from capping the point. So right here, they just want to fight, and they're now only at 2%, but that's gonna get to 100 very quickly. So right here, as you can see, let's take a look at Dragons' defensive positioning. So a very important concept is you want to be guarding the more close side of the map, and you want to be threatening the more close side of the map. And there was a fight after this where Dragons actually defended over here because they don't want Rain to just get here for free and be able to close the distance. So, but in this case, they're only defending. They're only defending because they'll need time to farm EMP. They're only going to be defending around here. But as you can see, they have Tracer here ready with a pulse bomb. So that if Rain decide to rotate here, Tracer can just drop the pulse bomb here. And as you can see, the rest of Dragons, they're... Let's skip this a bit. This is the final position. So right here, you can see the rest of Dragons is positioned in the... in a place where they still have long sight lines. They're not putting anyone here because this is where Dragons want them to go. This is the more open side of the map. If Rain go this way, well, it's easy for Zen to just do a lot of damage. It's easy for Fade and Flood to just, and Lip as well, to harass the back line. It's just gonna be really hard, especially after let's say you know Lip gets a hack, or Lip gets someone low, or Izayaki gets someone low. Well, you're in the open, you can't take cover anywhere. You're just gonna get, like, collapsed on by the ball team. It's really easy, especially with all this high ground. So, Dragons, they're trying to just bait Rain into and get, like, rotating this way. And we see, let's slow things down again. And so right here, Rain are trying to go to the more close side of the map, but you can see Dragons are adjusting your position to try to punish that. Dragons are like, they don't want to like just sit there, because if like they're too slow to rotate, then Rain are just gonna like be able to get here and force the point and force Dragons in a fight which they're not set up for. But by adjusting their positioning, they're deterring Rain from keeping like from continuing to rotate this way. The Brawl team will try to look to do like these fake rotations where they rotate somewhere, try to like drag you, and then rotate the other way. But in this case, doesn't really matter. If they like get out and try to like out-rotate Dragons and try to rotate this way, well, they're in an open sight line, which Dragons really like, so it's a win-win for Dragons either way. See, right here, Rain decided to change their mind. Looks like they're trying to speed this way, but they're now in the open, and this is very exploitable. So now, as they're in the open, as like they can't take cover, this is where Dragons like decide to pool their resources. They're now looking to use Pulse Bomb, and they're now looking to slam. It does get stunned, but it doesn't matter. It drew enough aggro for Fleta to just get this Pulse Bomb very easily. And you can see, Rain would ideally like to stabilize, wait for Kai, or like if they want to fight 5v6, at least like be able to hide from all this. But they're in the open. What can they do? If they go this way, there's still like this high ground to like kind of worry about. And Lip's gonna be able to potentially like spam them as well. This is gonna be a bit risky to go into as Sombra, but like there's like no place to really stabilize. There's no place to hide. If they like go here, it's bad. If they go here, it's really bad. And let's see what Rain are trying to do. So they try to window to like make space and open this corridor up, but eventually Dragons, like, they have such good positioning as well. The reason why they're positioning high on this map as well is because this is just a really good position. You want to always hold in positions where you have a lot of high ground, where you can easily like attack the rotations that Rain want. So like you want to be able to stop this rotation, and you want to force them into this open space. But if you force them into this open space, this is perfect. You have good positioning here. They can't really run down your supports because they're just gonna like be shot from high ground, and they're just gonna expose their backline, and so they have to like play here. But if they play here, then they're just gonna be cornered, and they have no angles to really work with, and Dragons are just gonna be able to get them so easily. So this is like the biggest benefit of pressuring high up the map and like pressuring past the point is you get to choose where to defend. You get to stop them from doing what they want. That is forcing the point and forcing you to a fight that you don't want. Like the best way to do that, have like the ball team just force the fight that they do want. Like they want to be fighting over here. They don't want to be fighting on point. So like let's say instead Dragons decide to hold here. Well, suddenly it's a lot worse because the Brawl team, they can go here, force the point. There's not much terrain to play around, so you can't really, there's no like high ground here. If they like rotate here, then like that gives them a lot of angles for Kai and Pelican to just poke down like, you know, Ball Tracer Sombra. And finally like also there's less like useful flanks to use. So like if as Tracer, it's gonna be pretty hard to flank them if they're over here, because like the flanks, like this is the flank, it's on point, and it's on pretty much like almost like low ground over here. It's not a really good flank. There's no cover. But over here you have this high ground, like all this high ground to use. You have like cover to use to sneak up on enemies. Well, it's better. It's much better for the ball team if they defend over here. But as I mentioned in the start, the biggest reason is to stop them from being able to force the point and being able to force Dragons into a fight that they don't want. And like even if they fail here, even if they don't get much done here, even if they have to like fully stabilize and Rain are able to make this rotation well, they've already went for a engage, like over here, forcing out a lot of cooldowns. So they just back up and they take another engage, in which case Rain would either have to wait or they'll be weaker, which gives dragons time to farm ult charge, which also like messes up with offensive plans. Like after recovering from this engage, is your first thought really gonna be, what can I run down? What can I attack? No, it isn't. It's gonna be, how can I survive? Like, objective is to survive. So you can see right here though, dragons, they don't let Rain even like get through. And yeah, easy with fight win. So the next fight is actually really interesting because right here, let's take a look. Dragons are now like positioned even more aggressively because they have defensive ults to use. The support line can just bait them to either engage them or you know, at the very least be able to put a lot of damage onto like the enemy safely because you have that rally and trance to fall back on. So really aggressive positioning from Izayaki and Li Jiangan, and we actually like see that this causes Rain, as I said, dragons are trying to seal off the desirable rotations. Ideally, Rain would want to like rotate here and then like go here. This is like a lot of cover to use, but by holding over here and also having this high ground, they're controlling this whole like box. So Rain have really two options. They can go here, but this is bad. Like, it's so open. Or they can go over here, which is also bad because it's so open. And Rain, they're forced to rotate through the open, but look at what opportunity it makes them. So they're in the open, they throw D.Va bomb. Boom. There's no cover to use. And as I said, Rain, like, they're closer to their spawn, so why not wait for Massa? Well, they're in the open. Where can they hide to wait? And they try to hide, but because they're in the open and, like, the distances are so long, it's so sloppy that the ball team just like, shuts down. Just literally shuts down the rotation. Anywhere they try to move, it's just in the first video, anywhere they try to move, it's just going to be sloppy because the ball team has so much control, is restricting your movement so severely that Rain, if they even try to move, if they try to stay still, they die. If they try to move, they just die as well. There's nothing they can do. No place to pop High Noon. I think Kai was trying to go for High Noon, but there's when Fate and Flood and Lip, they're just gonna be on you if you just try to like rotate anywhere. It's just useless. So right here, dragons, they do have less to play with this time, so they're gonna not take the risk. It might be hard to kite if you're playing too aggressively. Like kite back to point because they do have speed boosts and they can like just try to like chase you if you fail, like all the way to point. But like, let's take a look at this fight. So right here, since like this is a bit weaker from dragons because they aren't holding as aggressive, they are, again, as I said, they're trying to play it safe because they have defensive ults. And let me just go over like what defensive ults are for. What they're for is they're like something that allows you to buy time for like your backline, not your backline, for your Ball Tracer Sombra. So like what you want to do is you want to like bait yourself, like bait them to engage on you, and then Uno reverse card, just pop the Transfer Rally. But while they're doing that, your Ball Tracer Sombra know that your backline's safe. So like they don't need to give away those positions. So what they do is they just go for counterattack. They just look to take advantage of the fact that Rain, in all likelihood, they're all in a forward position that they can't really, like, there's not a lot of cover, and they're surrounded by a lot of players, so they're already taking a risk. But if you're patient and you can just use this time provided by the defensive ults to create, like, to wreak havoc in the backline and to try to, like, poke down the enemy backline, well, it's just going to be, like, a really good fight. And there's not a lot they can do because they've already moved forward. There's no moving back because Ball and Tracer, they're behind. So right here, as you can see, Rain are trying to rotate this way. Dragons are trying to attack them while they're in the open. This is very important. You don't want to attack them while they're here. You want to attack them as they're rotating. And in this case, They try to go for a pulse bomb. It forces out the beat. And Rain are trying to close the distance now. But Lee Gun just pops a rally. Ball Tracer don't have to do anything. All they have to do is keep harassing Rain. It's like guerrilla warfare. And as you can see, Rain, they're able to even like make it up to here. But there's one problem. They have not cleared these threats. It's the defensive ults that allow them to just leave their backline be almost and just focus on like being able to counterattack Rain as they're trying to rush down the backline. But as you can see, Fate's behind, Fleta's behind. Like Li Jiangong's just baiting himself, trying to bait like Rain to rush him down without clearing Ball or Tracer first. And as you can see, eventually, once like the beat's over, they just go in with trance, and boom. Dragons have just shut the trap. So, right here, it can be normally hard to just like trap them like this. As you can see, their movement here is absolutely restricted because Rain, not only like is Rain like surrounded by like Ball Tracer and like Sombra as well, but also like the backline's playing very close and aggressive. So like there's basically no space to work with. As you can see, Izuyaki goes in, has trance, isn't worried about Rain, and they just shut the trap. But like this is basically like how you want to use defensive ults. You want to use defensive ults to bait them in, but like you also want to use those defensive ults as a way for your backline to really pop off. And in this case, by like having trance and rally, Lee Gun Izuyaki is just creating like an anvil for like, you know, the hammer, which is going to be the Ball and Tracer to really smash Rain on. In this case, with the defensive ults, Izuyaki knows he can just get close and personal. If they try to like rush him, he just trances and like enables his Ball and Tracer to really clean up and punish. So in this case, by using those defensive ults and baiting in the aggression, Dragons, they just even stop like Rain from touching the point. And Torptrez go to point, and even if like the point wasn't 100, this is an opportunity that then Rain like is giving to Dragons, and Dragons can just capitalize on. So we're gonna take a look at one more fight to really hammer in this concept. But let's take a look at the first map we looked at, and let's take a look at, you know, the streets phase. So where was it? It was, I think, yeah, right here. I think it's right here. So we're gonna take a look at how Dragons set up for this fight. King's Row is a bit more linear, so there isn't gonna be like somewhere where Dragons is gonna like drag them. But as you can see, we already see Dragons min-maxing their damage. They're putting pressure like way past the cart. And Void doesn't get run over, he just has to kite. And in the process, he farms his ult. So right here, Dragons is gonna be able to like stop them from rotating here because like it's too closed and the cart's like all the way back here. So like Rain will be able to rotate through this open space. If the cart was a bit more forward, well, you could like put some players over here and try to get them to just run it down main, but even then it's gonna be hard because of like how close this map is and how like they can really cut off your backline's LOS if they're on cart. Anyways, we're gonna take a look at how like Dragons like play this out. So right here, you can see the amount of ult charge that Void gets from pressuring up high really pays off. Because, let's take a look at this. They finally get to cart, but by then, some players have already been chipped down. So So, like, as you can see, Iris is a bit low. Like, it isn't too much, but like, it is, like, a significant. Because there is a difference from being, like, 200 HP and 150 HP. And this opens up an opportunity for dragons. But more importantly, notice another thing. Izuyaki is not only trans, but Void has just been almost baiting them to just press W on him. So right here, like, they have Tracer, so they can definitely try to, like, clear Fade and Flood a bit, but as you can see, Void's just presenting himself as almost like an easy target. But he isn't, because look at what he's backing up to, and look at what support he has in the backline. He has a Zen with a Trance. So, right here, Void's luring them into the trap that dragons have set. Over here. This is where they want to take the fight. You can see, they're literally surrounded. And ideally, Rain would want to push the backline out of the choke and then separately deal with Ball. But by, like, having these positions in the first place and also, like, decisively stopping them by using ults before they're able to push dragons into, like, over here and then deal with Ball, like, before they're able to do that, dragons just end their misery. And they just pop the ult while they're in the open. As you can see, same thing. By blindly rushing and not clearing any angles, Rain is just forced into this very enclosed space, which, even though Rain does like fighting in close spaces with Brawl, Rain does not like the fact that they're just surrounded from everyone and everywhere. And as you can see, from here, there's not much they can do. If they try to, like, get out, well, they're stuck in the animation. But even if they, like, manage to survive this well, they're just running into Fate and Fleta. Like, Fate does get dealt with, but by then, it's too late. Dragons' tempo is so high that Pelican, he doesn't even have time to win, clear, like, by the time he clears this angle, the rest of his team is already dead. So, I hope this video has shown how important, like, putting pressure, even against a team that is scary on paper at close range, but once you do know how to position it, once you do know how to rotate, once you know how to use your ultimates and stuff to try to, like, play as aggressive as you can and to try to bait the enemy in, well, this team just falls apart. Like, the Brawl team just falls apart.